Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Agency Cast. Today I'm joined by Greg. Greg, thank you very much for coming on with me today.
Thanks so
Um,
much for having me, Joseph.
do you want to just introduce yourself, introduce a little bit about what you guys do?
Sure. So we are. My name is Greg, and like you said, and I run a service called Content Guppy, and we build premium links for B2B SaaS companies, and we focus exclusively on premium link building. So we don't do any other like content or things like that. So, um, yep, that's what we do.
Awesome. So I think the common ground that we sort of share with this is that with Danby marketing, with what we do as well, we often help video agencies sell their services to software companies as well. So I think this talk for me is just going to be a little bit about how we find video and link building benefit software companies, but then also for any member of the audience who's listened to this who maybe sees like software companies as um, like an industry which falls into their target audience, just sort of going over our experience with what works when trying to sell to software companies and any sort of tips and advice we could give to people on that. So just starting this conversation off then, I think if I were to just ask you, Greg, why do you do your service? Like, what do you think is the largest benefit, would you say, for a software company with being able to have custom links built?
Yeah. So I ran a marketing team for a software company, and we bootstrapped. I joined the organization. I think we were under $1 million ARR, and
Yeah,
then this was like 2015, and then by 2021 when I left, we were 10 million ARR. And totally bootstrapped, no outside funding, and we built the entire company on the back of SEO.
hmm,
And so when I started, like our site was getting 25,000 visitors a month, so it wasn't like nothing
yeah,
by any stretch. And then when I left, it was getting 400,000 visitors a month, and this was literally like just cranking out content and then
yeah.
building links on a very consistent basis, year month over month, year over year for a span of 4 years, or sorry, for a span of 6 years. Sorry, bad math.
No, no
Um,
problem.
so when I left that software company, I was kind of like, what am I going to do now? And because I saw how beneficial SEO was to to that company, again, like we did other things to get to 10 million ARR in that time period.
Yeah,
Um, but again, I would say 70% of our revenue was from SEO. So when I left that company, it was more like, what am I going to do, and how could I help other companies? And um, we started out as a SEO agency, and then we kind of reduced our service from SEO agency to just link building, because I saw firsthand how beneficial link building is.
yeah,
It totally changed the trajectory of the software company that I was working with, and yeah, so that's
yeah.
why I do it.
Interesting about that niching down, because for me as well, like we've had our fair share of niching down with our company as
Mhm.
well. Like because we run lead gen agency, sorry, we're mainly focused on outbound marketing. Um, Originally, what we would do is we would just focus on like quite a broad targeting with who were actually providing our service for.
Mhm.
So very similar to you guys on that front. It's like you identified an opportunity and you niche down because of that. So that's maybe something we could share a bit more insight on as well. Because for
Yeah.
us, I think that we could have just stuck with serving like a general audience with the outbound service that we were providing. But the reason that I wanted to niche down and just work with video agencies is because I saw an opportunity there. Like I know that a lot of businesses are going to want to invest into video just because it's a solution for allowing them to remain authentic.
Yep.
So, in terms of that, if I were to ask you, like, on top of what you've already said, what do you think are like the main causes for you to really just want to niche down to link building only? Is it a matter of just that's where you felt like your expertise was shown the most, or is there anything else
Um,
to do with that?
no, not really. So what happened was is when we were doing content and links, and to
Yeah,
be perfectly honest with you, we were very average at both. We so it was kind of, and we actually did some outsourcing for our links as well. And at one point in time, we lost 2 or 3 clients because they hated the links that we were getting. And it wasn't like our content was like the content was ranking, but it was like creating really good content is really hard to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so we were like, it was kind of like we can't do both. We can't create good content and we can't really get good links with the size of the company that we were at the time, and even the size of the company that we are now. So it was like, what could we do? What could we be the best at?
yeah,
And we looked around and we saw like there's a lot of really good content marketing agencies like who focus on content and could make really great content, but there weren't like tons of link building services that were really specialized in getting insanely good links.
yeah,
And so and we can talk about what a really good link is and if you want to, but what we wanted to do is we wanted to be like, we're only going to get really good. Like if somebody says, hey, could we have a reduced budget um, for these getting like these bad links, we always turn those people down. Like we don't want to get bad links for people at any cost. Like it just doesn't worth it for us. So so we decided we were going to focus on link building, and then we decided to niche our audience, our customer base to SaaS companies and B2B services. We were like you, we were taking on anybody. And then we
yeah.
were just were like, hey, we're going to get link building for B2B service SaaS companies. And that's it. And we're going to be really, really good at it. And we're only going to get the best links we can. So, it was basically like one of those things where we were just like, what could we be the best at? And
Mhm.
link building was the answer for us.
Dude, yeah, so similar with us. Like we just wanted to be
Yeah.
seen as the experts in a single
Mhm.
field. So I think that's definitely share a lot on that front. I think for us it was just, there's so many lead gen agencies out there. People get contacted by these sort of
Oh,
businesses
for
all the
I get
time.
contacted like 5 or 6 times a day.
Literally, yeah, exactly. That's exactly
Yeah,
my point. This
yeah,
is stuff I talk about in my content as well, just how frequently people are going to get contacted. So it's like,
yep.
how could, like, for example, I've had clients come to me where they're like, oh, we're currently working with this lead gen agency, but I see that you guys work with just video agencies and you've got some good proof to back it up. So we want to jump ship and work with you. And that is simply just because we're niche down,
Right.
we're
Yep.
targeting with them. And it's so I would honestly encourage anybody who has an opportunity to niche down and focus down on a
Yes.
single topic to do
Yep.
it, just because it can really help you in the long run. Like not just like the short term benefit, but just like the long term as well as you go and
For
get more
sure.
clients coming in. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, especially if you're a service, even like a vertical SaaS company, like I think is more benefit is if you're bootstrapping. Sorry,
Yeah,
specifically bootstrapping, a vertical SaaS company is the way to go because um, you know where your market is versus like a horizontal SaaS company where you're just trying to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Whereas like if you're building, let's say, a Calendly competitor, right? Like a
yeah,
calendar kind of scheduling tool, and you're like, hey, we're going to do scheduling tools for law firms, and you're going to build all your features around that and all that, and you're going to build all your and all your marketing around that. Like that's like, okay, I know where to go find law firms, right? Like that's super specific in my mind. I can
yeah,
know what kind of content to create for law firms. I know what seminars to go to, what conferences to go to, right? Whereas if you're like, hey, we're just going to build a calendar tool, a Calendly alternative, like a scheduling tool, it's like, where do I start to market that, right?
yeah,
And that's super
exactly.
hard. Not only that, but it's going to be almost completely undifferentiated from like the hundreds of tools that are already out there.
Yeah,
So, so you're going to have a tough time selling at any sort of premium value there.
yeah,
Whereas if you niche down to whether you're doing a service or a SaaS, you could create marketing that is very specific. You could create the service that is very specific, the language that's very specific, and you could charge a premium
yeah.
because like you said, people are going to be much more willing to you're going to be like much more top of mind when there's like a video agency who's like,
Yeah,
who
no,
do I
yeah,
need, who should I can't call for lead gen services, and
yeah,
it's not going to be
yeah,
like, any lead gen service is going to be you guys.
yeah. That's a great point you made about the Calendly, and that I think that sums up. Because I know a lot of any potential future audiences watching this will use Calendly, so I'm sure that they'd be able to resonate with that. Just wanted to sort of share my thoughts on sort of the benefit of video for SaaS companies as well. I know we're going to get
Sure.
into like how we actually go about, selling a service to these software companies. But I think for me, a way that I feel like video and your service gels really well together is that you guys are obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys are more focused, like the main benefit of your service, right, is increased traffic, increased exposure for these software companies.
No, our main benefit is to increase MMR. We only care
Okay,
about that. Like we don't necessarily like traffic is just a byproduct of increasing MRR.
perfect. Yeah,
Increasing
yeah.
rankings again is a byproduct of increasing MRR. If we're building links to a page that doesn't increase MRR, like it's pointless. It's just throwing money down the drain.
Okay, that's
Uh,
interesting.
yeah. We don't care about traffic. Like it's weird to say that from an SEO standpoint, but like we don't care about traffic really.
No, it's
I'd rather
interesting.
get I'd rather get 100 people to a month to a page that converts at 20% than 10,000 people to a page that converts at 0%.
That's interesting, man. Because again, like that's why I said correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that I'm not an SEO link building, cannot get my head around any of that stuff. So I appreciate you making that point. I think
No
for us, I
problem.
think the benefit for video then would be to almost amplify a service like what you guys have, because your focus is increasing MRR through the links that you're building. I feel
Mhm.
like as like a second touch point, it's likely that potential customers will then go and actually visit the software for, whether it's the website, maybe connect with a founder on LinkedIn. One thing that we found is with doing our outbound marketing, that when you send like an outbound message to somebody, if they're actually interested in your offer and it's relevant to them and to their position in their, it's just the right time as well, that person is going to go to your website to check you out. They're going to go to your LinkedIn to check you out as well. Like, I don't know if you've ever received like an email that you're interested in and you've just like copied the sender domain and then searched it on Google. I don't know if you have,
For
but
sure. Yeah.
yeah. So like that, I do that as well. So we found that often volume that you're getting through like some sort of marketing service, whatever it is, so link building, outbound, whatever it is, people will then also find their way onto the website, and I think, and the LinkedIn as well, and maybe the YouTube even, and I think that is where creating really good videos for software companies is important. The main sort of videos that you're looking at is going to be like the demo video, so that actually introduces the software, what it does. You then a second video could be then the actual business ROI video, so the
Hmm.
benefits that it has for the business. Then finally, you're looking at something that's like a pitched focus video, so it's like pricing, what it actually looks like moving forward with that certain software, right? Any sort of like free trials or anything like that you could get. Essentially, just putting the
Yep.
offer forward for people visiting the site. So for me, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, but what I found from running our agency, from obviously connecting video agency to software company, is that often these software companies are looking for those three kinds of videos. They're often in the form of just like animated explainers, so to just animate the features of the software. Um, Obviously, yeah, features of software, like what the software does, the business ROI, the benefits for the person who's going to use the software, and then just the pitch as well. Is there any like other sort of benefits, would you say, of you for a software company using video and using link building collectively?
Yeah, so I think that's important, but I think that's like the tip of the iceberg. Like conversion, using video to convert is very important. Don't get me wrong. Again, I've seen that, I've done that.
Yeah.
We've built campaigns around that on our sites and things on our site. On our software, like when I was working in the software company. But the other thing that was happening is like, okay, so I know I said traffic wasn't important, but when you're creating content and building links for 6, 7 years, you get to a place where you're getting 400,000 and 500,000 visitors a month
Yeah.
to your site. And so what happens is like we also had a YouTube channel that had 10,000 subscribers or 15,000 subscribers, right? And
Mhm.
so we were creating video by 2 videos a week maybe to get that to that point. Um, and so what was happening is we saw all the like this huge confluence of things coming together. So we had 500,000 visitors to a website. We had 10,000 subscribers to a YouTube channel. Each video was getting, let's say, 2 to 2,500 visitors a month, 2,500 views a month, a pop. And so what was happening is like we would do like so something like cold outreach, right?
Yeah.
And we would try to reach out to whatever a company, and by the time like that person had actually gotten our cold outreach, they'd heard about us, right? Because we had this YouTube videos. They'd probably seen a video. They read our blog post. Um, we were on podcasts all the time, so so they'd probably heard us on podcasts, right? So this cold outreach wasn't really cold anymore.
Yeah.
It was almost warm, and
Yeah.
so there was this huge opportunity. But going back to what you were talking about, like as touch points, so people would read the blog, they would go to the YouTube channel, they would sign up to our newsletter. And then eventually at some point in time they would become clients of ours, not or customers or users, whatever. And so that's kind of how it worked. It was like this just confluence of things, and video was part of it, and SEO was part of it, and email marketing was part of it, and cold outreach was part of it. But when they combined, man, like that's when it got really, really powerful.
Yeah. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
you're more saying like when these sort of inbound touch points are all combined, that's where the real power it creates. Like
Yeah,
this inbound
it
power.
just boosts. Yeah, it just boosts everything. It boosts
Yeah.
inbound. It boosts up, and like our SDRs would be like, "Hey, we're closing leads great," but like, and they were crushing it with the outbound. But like, they weren't cold out. It wasn't cold outreach anymore. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was like 40 or 50% of everybody we reached out to had heard of us in the
Yeah.
remote. We were in the remote workspace, and we were a fairly big player in the remote workspace, right?
Yeah.
Like, so this was again back in 2021. So by the time people heard about it, like reached out, they were like, "Oh yeah, we know who you guys are."
They already knew
So
everything. Yeah.
yeah, so but it all kind of comes together, like the like you being on having somebody 2,500 people watch your YouTube videos is like super powerful, right? Because they're watching you, they're watching the founder, or CMO or operations person, whoever, talk about your software for 10, 15 minutes or whatever the length of the video is. 2 minutes, doesn't matter. But they're watching that you guys talk about your software. Like, that's super powerful.
I think another thing that I think is so powerful about video, and I love what you just said there about how when you have like this sort of inbound powerhouse, that's what's most powerful, like where you can combine like newsletters, blogs, everything together.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that I love about video, and it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this as well, is that you can't put a you can't put a blog post into a video really unless you're like repurposing it. But with a YouTube video, it's very easy to then just go and put that into a blog post. Do you know what I'm saying? So like you could create videos and have that like published all over the other forms of content that you're putting out as well. So like your blogs, your newsletters, you can sort of distribute that content there.
So I mean, we did that. We put YouTube videos into blog posts, but we also turned blog posts into YouTube videos. We did that religiously. Yeah. Like our best blog posts, we would just turn into a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And those often were our best videos and more successful videos.
Yeah.
I can't tell you like, oh, we sold X amount, we acquired X amount of users from YouTube. Like that, like what happens is attribution becomes impossible in this scenario. So it's kind of, the sales guys will always take credit for their sales, obviously. But beyond that, like attribution becomes almost impossible because like, oh, did you read the blog post? Did you watch the YouTube video? Did you listen to the podcast? Were you on the email list? Like, how did you know what I mean? Like, so it,
like a checklist of like 100.
Yeah. They're like, like I think they say like 7 touch points is when you get to the, and it's totally true. Especially in SaaS like that. Like it's 7. It's usually like your best clients are going to be are going to have like 6 or 7 touch points before they sign up.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's really interesting, man. Like, obviously, from what you've been saying, you were working in like quite a large software company as well. So I know like a lot of the companies that we're trying to target with our video agencies are similar to that. And I think love what you were just saying about how I think there's so much room for video in those strategies. Like you can go and repurpose blogs that are already successful. I've got a friend on LinkedIn who talks about that all the time, Like it's like it's like low hanging fruit, right? It's like
Yeah, for sure.
find the blogs that are winning, find the different forms of content that are winning, and then you can create videos out of them. Because
Yep.
it's like you say, it's like a free touch point. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, for sure.
is there a way you can turn this already successful content into something? Because I mean, in my opinion, I think there's a segment of a market who would rather just read and consume, and then there's also going to be people who just want to watch something. They just want something short. They've got a shorter attention span. They just want it in video format. So I think that's a factor as well. It's like it's another style of content that is going to speak volumes to audiences and areas of an audience that might not otherwise pay attention to a blog post. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that's the case?
For absolutely. I think people. Yes, I think the more places that you could be, the better. It's just a short answer, but I totally agree. I don't. So the people who are going to watch and consume are not going to be the people who it's funny. You're not gonna get the CEO of a $20 million company probably watching your video on scheduling tools, right? Like they just don't care. You're probably not even going to get them to read a blog post on it, but getting them to become a client, you're going to have to do some outreach.
Yeah.
But again, it just kind of all comes together in terms of how they they'll probably see they'll probably hear about you from other people and things like that, and so it's just all kind of comes together. So yeah,
I think as well
it's just a free touch point.
Yeah, it's as well. It's about understanding why the different sort of profiles of people go on to different. So, like for example, a founder or CEO of a big software company. This is just my opinion. I don't think that they're really going on YouTube to learn some. I think that they're just going on there to watch, just in their free time to watch football highlights or something.
I mean, I don't know about I think they're going to do that, but they're also going to be okay, let's say they're interested in marketing, right? They're the CMO of a CEO company. They're super interested in marketing. They're going to watch marketing videos. They're not. Their intent is not to sign up for a CMS, or their intent is not to sign up for a marketing tool, whatever it is, right? That's probably not their intent. So that video has to be very different than all right, let's go back to the scheduling tool, right? You're, and this kind of goes back to niching down, right? So let's say you're talking about signing up new clients or getting new clients to be more prompt with showing up for meetings, right? And that's when you could deploy your scheduling tool. Well, if that's a problem that CMO of that or CEO of that law firm has, they're going to watch that video. Their intent isn't to buy your scheduling tool by any stretch, but they will watch that video. So it just depends on you have to understand what the intent is of the medium and the intent is of the video, and then target that content around to that person.
Yeah, I think it is very dependent because that's situational as well. That's really if there is a genuine need, within that company from that C-level who really needs that as part of their business. If it was just like a curiosity thing, they might either have somebody lower down in their team come to them and suggest it as an idea, or they might just pass it down to somebody lower on in the business. I don't know. So yeah, I completely resonate with what you're saying there. It's situational, dependent on the sort of intent behind what they're actually looking at the tool for. Do you have any more sort of points that you want to add on that? I think what I want to do is just move on to just how sort of how our experience has been actually selling a service to a software company. So do you have any points to add on the previous bit, or are you happy to move on?
No, I think we're good to move on.
Sweet. So yeah, just from your past experience, when because obviously we share the same thing, we're both involved with selling a service. Obviously you're selling link building, I'm selling video to software companies. What has your experience been in terms of some of the sort of main maybe obligations that you found when you're actually approaching these software companies, and what are some of the highlights as well? What are some things that are good to do and what are some things that are bad to do, I guess is what I'm kind of asking you.
Yeah, so a couple of things that are good to do. One is to qualify your people, your
100%.
prospects, for
Yeah,
sure. So like our prospects like need SEO in order to survive in terms of
yeah,
a like if they don't need SEO in order to survive, they're not a good prospect because they're not going to be willing to pay for really good links. The
yeah,
second is they need to know what a really good link is. We do educate a little bit, but but they need to understand. But most of the time, our best clients understand like, okay, this is a really good link. Like we don't have to usually educate on it. We do a little bit, but again, they usually know. And then the third thing is so we're a productized service, and we have a process. Um, if the client requires us to deviate from the process, they're not a good fit as well. So I can give you an example. Every time like somebody kind of wants to cherry pick the types of links that they want. So like what we'll do is we have a list of criteria.
mhm,
And then when you sign up for us, the service, you agree to this list of criteria.
yeah,
And then there's been a couple times, it's been 2 or 3 times in the past where every time a person says, "Hey, we want something outside of this criteria, or we want to choose which links we want to
mm,
get," we fail miserably. Either we get fired or we fire them because it's a miserable working experience.
yeah,
Um, so we've learned that we never ever deviate from the process.
yeah. Okay.
So those are the three things. So qualify, make sure that they understand they're educated, whether you have to educate or they're already educated, and then third is never deviate from your process. Those are my three bullets.
Yeah, very similar for us. I think with qualifying for us, what we find is that a lot of prospects who will approach our video agency clients, they'll just want to use video for the sake of using video. Like they won't really have like a purpose for video within their business. So in terms of qualifying for us, when we're because we call it like this, like our agency sort of ethos is that we'll go and like hunt for deals and hunt for projects for our video agency clients, right? So when we're doing that, if we're coming across a lot of people who are just like they don't even really know why they want video, they just want it just for the sake of it, then to us that's not a qualified prospect, because exactly like you just mentioned there, it's going to be very possible that in that sort of brief phase, when our client is then handling that brief, they're asking the client what they want, they're a not going to have an idea, right? Or b,
Mm-hmm.
when they actually do have an idea, they're constantly going to be wanting to change things around. The ideas aren't very fresh. They don't really have a vision for what they actually want to use video for. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part for that in terms of qualification on that end. But I think that that also ties into how we qualify like our clients as well. So when we're finding a video agency to work with, sorry, it all comes down to what I spoke about a little bit earlier in this talk. It was like, does the video agency that we're looking at, do they actually have a niche that they're really focused on into? Do they produce videos for a certain sector, for example, of software? Like, are they looking at like how do you describe like what's a good way to sort of categorize software? Because there's loads of different ways. What would you say is like the best?
Industries,
Yeah,
use
just like
cases, things like that. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So just like industry based, are they
Yeah.
looking at a specific industry with the clients that they're after? So that they're things that we look at because it just means for a better service. And exactly what we said, it's like the software company that we're targeting is going to want to come to our client because they have that expertise and they have case
Right.
studies that are really relevant. Like we leverage, it's not even case studies; it's just like big names. We found that um, other companies will really resonate with an offer, and they'll see it as really relevant to them if the company who's selling to them has worked with big names in their industry as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a massive part on that for us. I think it's very similar to what you just said. Just wanted to add a little bit more detail on how qualification looks on our end. And yeah, it's quite simple on that front. So yeah, is there anything else you wanted to add into that? Just how you found selling to software goes?
No, I don't think there's any like selling the software companies versus selling to anybody. I don't think there's any real big
Yeah,
difference, to be honest with you. I think it's
that was
all
my
kind
next
of
point. Yeah,
yeah. I don't
that was my next point.
Yeah, I don't think it's big. I don't think it's like there's any real true secrets.
Yeah,
So I think as long as you're qualifying who you're trying to sell to, the rest is easy.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, we don't like. I'm a terrible salesperson, really. But what we just do is we have, like once we know, like, okay, you're a fit, and we just literally I'll show them, like, here's a quick slide of here's the links we're going to get you. Um, Here's a few of the results that we've gotten, but like people don't even care about that anymore, I guess, because we offer something super tangible. Uh, but but basically, like, here's the links we're going to get you. Are you interested? Here's the price. Are you interested? And then it's
yeah.
either yes or no. And that simple little thing closes very easily. In fact, we don't even get on a phone anymore to like, or a call anymore to like close deals. Most of them are just closed via email.
Really? You
So
just was like,
yeah,
oh, that's interesting.
yeah. Well, we close like five and $7,000 deals just on email, because it's literally like, here's what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
You're gonna
yeah,
get
okay,
eight.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna get 8 links. They're gonna be of this quality. Here's the process which we go through. Is that good for you? So,
yeah.
and it's, yeah, yep,
Similar to us, but I think it more depends on deal size. Like we've had that with like really low ticket deals. It's just
yeah.
like a one
Like
time.
I don't think any of our clients pay us more than
Yeah,
$500.
yeah, okay. Yeah,
So
because
yeah,
if we're hitting like a single animated explainer that just fits a purpose, like the
right,
software company comes to us saying, "I want a demo," then yes, I agree. We could probably just sort that out over email because it's a very
yeah,
consumable style of video, right? It fits a
exactly.
singular purpose. But if with us, we'll find that because it's not just software companies we work with either. We work with, like I said, a load of different industries. Depends on sort of the brief. There's a lot of things that go into it. Are there actors involved? Anything like that? Is it animated? Are they going to be generating UGC? Like, there's loads of different sort of factors that play into that. But yeah, really interesting talk, man. I think that's
Yeah,
all that I
man.
really have to say on it. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Is there anything else that you wanted to add just based on the whole conversation, or are you happy with?
No, man, I think this was good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Great to have you on, man. Cheers.
Take care. Have a great one.